Welcome to Writing IEP, Part 1. In this video and PowerPoint, you will find the instructional material, resources, and direction to complete 4 exercises. After you finish, you will submit the answer file on the assignment page. Put all 4 questions on the same page and submit it together in the assignment page. You may be working in groups to complete this activity, or you may have chosen to work individually. Some people think that an IEP is where the teachers tell the parents what the child is going to do at school. An IEP is much more than that, involving the parents in a conversation and the decision-making. IEPs are a shared responsibility between the parents and the teachers. After a child has been diagnosed with a disability through an evaluation by a school psychologist or a psychological examiner, the parents meet to learn the results of the testing and to talk with the team and make decisions together. Important decisions like how many hours a day or a week does my child need to be with a special educator or related service professional? What type of service does my child need? Whether it's academic instruction, individualized instruction, small group instruction, or pull out services for speech and language, push in services for reading and math. All of these questions are answered in the IEP meeting. The IEP is a legal document stating the decisions that were made in the IEP meeting. The decisions made will be the goals and objectives and how the child will meet those goals. The objectives may be benchmarks or specific skills that the child needs to master, and will include specific direction on how the educational team will measure and monitor the child's growth. You won't see specific lesson plans in an IEP meeting or what the child's day will look like. You will see measures of where the child is currently functioning right now and expected levels of performance that would come within specific time frames. You'll see not only academic, but also functional areas that would be measured and goals written. While we can't guarantee that a goal will meet goals and objectives, we can guarantee that we're going to pursue those goals. If the child is not making progress that we hoped for, it is the responsibility of the IEP team to meet and amend the IEP. In some schools, you will even see the parents invited to monthly data meeting to share the child's progress. Before you can write an IEP, you have to have a good understanding of some basic concepts. We're going to cover those. Those concepts include grade level expectations, access to the general ed curriculum, progress monitoring, free and appropriate public education, purchase of service, Section 504 of the Rehab Act, and parents' rights. You also need to have a good understanding of the differences in what accommodations are and modifications are, how to write performance objectives or behavior objectives and how to monitor, collect, and report data. If you're feeling overwhelmed about writing IEPs, let me allay your concerns. Each school district provides in-depth training every year for not only new teachers, but returning teachers on IEP writing. Each district may have their own IEP form that's based on the State Department form. The State Department approves every school district's IEP form. Most districts now use an IEP software application where you search a data bank for IEP goals and objectives. Here's the first learning activity or exercise you will be completing. You will be looking online at Missouri learning standards and grade level expectation. In order to know what is expected for a child to know at a specific grade level, you need to know first where they are functioning right now to get a benchmark. For question 1.1, you will be looking at Missouri VLA standards and grade level expectation to see what grade student should have the reading comprehension skills to identify the beginning, middle, and end of a story. When we get into IEP writing, you'll see that we'll be addressing present levels of performance, both academic and functional level. After you locate the grade levels from Missouri's website, then I want you to look at the National Center on Intensive Intervention for Progress Monitoring tools. You will also be looking at the list of the chart of tools and decide which tool would be the best to measure a child's progress for reading comprehension for beginning, middle, and end. You need to provide a rationale for this. Pause this video now and complete your work. For exercise 2, I want you to understand the concept of free appropriate public education. I've included some websites for you that I recommend that you study, pay close attention to. The Special School District website, the first one, has an outstanding parent handbook that I share with all of my parents. All public school districts must provide the services that a child with a disability needs in order to learn. This is FAPE. Now, the tricky part, as seen in special ed court cases, is determining the definition for appropriate in FAPE. Recently, in 2017, the US Supreme Court heard a case called Andrew F. versus Douglas County School District, and was decided that schools must offer students with disabilities an education reasonably calculated to enable them to make progress appropriate in light of the child's circumstance. Since then, a study evaluated over 90 court cases over the next few years to see what percent of disputes between parents that have gone to court, parents suing the school district for not providing the services their child needed. Almost 90% of these disputes between school districts and parents were decided in the court in favor of school districts. Andrew was the exception to this. You will also see, amazingly, in our area in St. Charles County, FAPE was contested by parents with Fort Dumont School District, resulting in the court case from 1997, Fort Dumont versus Klein. Be sure and read this so that you get a good understanding of what FAPE means. You will see why FAPE is important in determining who delivers the services, what services will be delivered, and how. Did you know that Fort Dumont purchases the services and contracts with Francis Howell to provide services for their students who live in their school district who have a certain type of disability? Every year, Fort Dumont provides bus transportation to a school in Francis Howell so that their students can have a qualified teacher to teach them based on their specific needs. I challenge you to find out the type of classroom and teacher certification that Francis Howell provides that Fort Dumont does not. You also need to understand the differences in IDEA in Section 504 of the Rehab Act. Can parents who have a child with a disability state that they want their child labeled with an IEP? Or that to avoid the label for an IEP, they want their child to receive a 504 plan by their school counselor instead of special education? Check out these websites so that you can answer the question for 3.1 and 3.2 and better understand what the parents' rights are. That leads us to what's the difference between accommodations and modification. Special education provides both. Section 504 only provides accommodation. But I want you to think specifically about this. Make a Venn diagram. One part of the circle would be a 504 plan. The other part of the circle would be IDEA, IEP. And in the center would be their similarities. I want you also to think of a circumstance when an accommodation might be a modification. It happened. Also, when might a modification become an accommodation? Yes, it depends on the child's disability, the type of materials being used in the classroom, and the assistive devices that are possible for the child to use. It's a lot to think about. I look forward to your answers.